Welcome to another video, guys. The patch is almost here, and here's what it's gonna be looking like. This is definitely gonna shake up the meta, and God knows Druid is gonna be taking a fat hit here, which we all know deserves it. I hope you find the video helpful, and if you do, a like and subscribe would be great, and don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I'll also be live as soon as the patch goes live right now, so I hope to see you on stream. But now, let's get into the patch.
You are not prepared!
And here's what we have. Hamul is on the splash art, so God knows it's gonna be good. Hearthstone update. Patch 35.0.3 is rolling out with updates for Hearthstone Battlegrounds and more. Starting off with standard card changes, def comment well met with Cataclysm now live, and standard freshly rotated. We've been closely watching the new standard environment take shape as you experiment with a wide range of decks and strategies. With the meta still evolving, this patch focuses on reining in a few clear outliers and giving a small boost to some budding archetypes. As always, we will be keeping a close eye on how these changes land, and look forward to seeing how the playing field continues to develop. Starting off with Hamul Rune Totem, and the change here is now he's gonna be repeating the effect every 3 spells instead of 2. I was also speculating this could be every 2 nature spells, but no, they went with the 3 spells instead, so you're still gonna be able to use the coin to proc it, but it's obviously gonna be a lot slower now, which is pretty huge, but it definitely wouldn't have been enough to really hold down Druid right now, so there are a couple of more nerfs which are definitely gonna make it work. Moving down to Crystalline Cub, and this new card is going down to a 1 mana 1/1, which is going to be a 1 mana 2/2 if you manage to spend your last mana crystal in front of it, which is not going to happen way too easily on turn 1 when you're not on the coin. That is definitely going to tone it down quite a lot, and this card has been quite powerful indeed, both for aggro and for imbue Druid, and with this change it's going to be a lot less dominant because this thing really just snowballed out of control like no other. We also have Wildwood Circle, which was another clear power outlier, like by far the best shattered card ever. And yeah, now it's gonna be 4 mana, meaning that both pieces are gonna cost 4, combined is gonna cost 4, and also discovered it's now gonna be costing 2, again combined and each piece, which sounds a lot more fair. Like, to be honest, the right part of this, the Death Owl summon a 2/2 Treant, that is literally how much Soul of the Forest cost. I know it's a classic card, but it was still one of the most busted classic cards back in the day. So yeah, why is this cheaper? Why is it even better when it unshatters? A little bit too much in it. Def comment, in standard Druid has stood out in both popularity and power and has been warping the meta. To address that, we are taking a more comprehensive approach by adjusting several key cards. These changes are aimed at toning down Druid's ability to dominate both the early and late game. So yeah, I do believe this will be helping, and Druid should be getting a little bit less popularity and power, which is a good thing, so more things can actually start seeing more play in standard. Speaking of more things seeing play in standard, we have Skywall Sentinel going down to a 0/2 instead of a 0/3, which, again, could have bumped it to 3 mana because Shaman really does have way too cheap of Herald stuff, but I guess this is also kind of fine. A little bit of a slap on the wrist kind of action, but it's definitely very welcome. Shaman definitely does look like a deck that will be taking up the vacuum Druid is going to be leaving, and I guess they're doing a little bit of preemptive action here because it's definitely standing as a very powerful deck right now, so toning it out a little, I'm not against that. We also have Flight of the Firehawk, and this thing is 3 mana, draw you 2 minions of different types. It used to give +2/+2 to those minions, now it's only going to be giving +1, which again definitely sounds okay. Honestly, I think this should have been done a long time ago, like mid-range Shaman has been way too strong for way too long in the previous meta, so I have no idea why they didn't do this a little bit earlier, but they're doing it now, so I guess. Def comment, Shaman has also proven to be a strong presence, though not at the same degree as Druid. Here we are taking a lighter touch by shaving some power off a couple of cards to keep the class in line as the meta continues to evolve. And next up we have Gladiatorial Combat, which is clearly another absolute outlier as a toxic play pattern. And this thing dropping down as soon as turn 4 or 5, definitely pretty busted, and it is going to be pretty busted as soon as turn 5 and 6, but it's going to be a lot harder for the Warriors to actually last that long because, let's face it, right now the meta is a little bit too quick, and I'm not just talking about Druids. Def comment here for Gladiatorial Combat, this adjustment is less about raw power and more about play pattern. While it has not been a major outlier yet, we want to proactively curb a style of gameplay that can become frustrating when it ramps into large threats too quickly. And yeah, basically not very much skill involved in this, just curve into your 4 or 5 turn and drop this guy, and the opponent can't really do much. Not very many decisions mattered for them, so it is definitely a toxic play pattern that needed to get toned down. And now we're moving into the buff section, starting off with Maniacal Follower. This guy is still gonna be 3 mana, but now he is gonna be a 4/1, which is kinda cool. It's gonna be a lot more damage. You're gonna be able to clear a lot bigger things. But I really feel for Rogue it would have been much better if this thing went down for 2 mana. I'm not saying I wanted it to go down to 2 mana, but I think that would have made an impact. This feels a little bit too little of a buff if you ask me, but time will tell how that goes. Maybe combined with all the nerfs, Rogue is gonna find some decent spot under the sun again. Observant Technician is also remaining at 4 mana, but he's gonna become a 3/5, which definitely sounds good. It's gonna be a lot more lifesteal for this guy. Like right now, this card was giving you usually a 2 health Herald card, which is gonna cost you 2 health, and she was healing it back once somebody slapped into her. Now at least she's gonna have a net positive for you, healing a little bit more than she takes. So that is definitely kind of nice. A little bit too small of a buff again, but maybe that's what it needs. And now let's see what Druid has with the Moonwell. Used to be a 7 mana, now it's gonna be a 6. And yeah, even though 7 mana Flame Strike only does 4 damage to all enemy minions, this thing not only does that, deals damage to the face as well as restores 4 health. Actually, didn't they change Flame Strike to be dealing 5 damage? I don't even know, man. At this point, so many changes. But yeah, this thing is gonna be kind of cool sitting at 6. I'm not sure it's gonna see that much play still, but maybe it will. And lastly, for the buff, we have Black Bloods, and this guy used to be a 4/8, now it's gonna be a 5/9, still at 7 mana, and the bodies from 1/2s are becoming 2/2s, which is definitely a nice little bit of buff. Not too crazy of a buff, but I think Priest needs only a little to be decent again. Def comment here, on the buff side, we've seen some excitement around building decks with these cards, so we're giving them a small boost to help realize their potential. Good stuff. That's about it for Standard. Definitely believe these changes are gonna make Druid a lot less dominant, and we should be able to see a little bit slower decks rising into power, but also let's not forget Face Hunter is absolutely gonna be slapping right now. I have no idea why they're not nerfing 12 years last whatever the hell. That card is way too powerful, and it's gonna be Face Hunter now, guys, so either play Face Hunter or try to counter Face Hunter, which I don't know, man. Why are we always trying to be one step behind kind of deal? It's clearly a deck that has been way too good, and the single reason is that goddamn card. Like, if we're nerfing Warrior and his toxic card, why are we not nerfing Hunter's toxic card is beyond me, but let's see. We also have a few wild changes here with Lightspeed. This thing used to be repeatable this turn, now it's gonna have Echo, and yeah, we're upgrading Lightspeed to have Echo to prevent zero-cost interactions and abusive play patterns. So yeah, with repeatable, this thing was apparently used as 0 mana over and over again, whereas now with having Echo, you can't do that. Echo is weird like that, apparently. We also have Astral Communication. This thing used to be 4 mana, now it's gonna be 5, and the def comment here is Astral Communication is receiving a light adjustment to slow down a RAM strategy that has grown more consistent over time, while still preventing its identity as a fun and iconic Druid deck. Okay, haven't really seen this much in Wild, but then again, I haven't seen much Wild either, so who am I to say? And lastly, we have Grand Magistrate to Ramaf. This thing used to recast each spell you've cast this game that didn't start in your deck, and now the new battlecry, recast each spell you've cast this game that didn't start in your deck once per game. So I guess that's the big change. You can't bounce this guy, you can't get extra copies, none of that. Grand Magistrate Ramaf is being limited to once per game to address a highly repetitive and frustrating play pattern that we do not want to be a defining part of that format. Good riddance, I guess. And we also have a bunch of battleground action, like a lot of battleground action actually. Even though this is the buff and nerf section we have been waiting for, battlegrounds is definitely taking a lot of adjustments as well, so ain't nothing wrong with that. We can scroll down further, see if anything else relevant for Standard or Wild is happening. And not really. We have bug fixes. For Hearthstone, you will now be allowed to play health cost cards that cost more than your remaining health if you have a Ryzen Onyxia active. This is actually huge, guys. This is actually huge. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but before this change, if you're playing Onyxia and you're like at 6 health, you play your fully heralded Onyxia, she gives you a couple of 8 health costing minions. If you play those, game over, you kill yourself. Whereas now you're actually gonna get the play him and heal back and then some, which is really a huge change. And honestly, this is one of the biggest buffs that's happening in this patch. I think it should have been a part of the buff section really, but clearly it was not meant to be working this way, so there is that. But yeah, this is huge for Onyxia Death Knight. I'll definitely be giving that deck a try. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this patch. Do let me know in the comments what you guys think this is gonna be doing to the meta, but I really think that Face Hunter is gonna be the next imbued Druid, which is not a very good thing, but let's see how that goes. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, and don't forget to check me out live on Twitch each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, including right now when the patch goes live, so will I. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.